and welcome to PRFC Fan Show. I have got a great surprise today. Not only do I have Tyler Terens, the voice of the Phoenix Rising, with us, but I've also got his, shall we call you, companion in all things announcing and analyst oriented, Devon.
I would say when it comes to the two of us being grouped in together, I just prefer better half. It makes it understandably easy and direct for everybody. He would agree with that.
It's not that I agree, it's just that I knew that he was going to say that, so it's just not a surprise at this point.
That's perfect. So, Devon Kerr, thank you so much for joining. This is really a treat for me, and I know it's going to be a treat for the Phoenix Rising fans, too. This should be a blast if it's anything like the past 20 seconds.
It's a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on. It's keep up to date with you guys, and it's an honor, really. I'm excited to chat.
Great. Well, I had two things I wanted to talk about today, and we're going to start off, I think, with something that's very near and dear to Phoenix Rising fans tonight, and that's the game between Orange County and the Real Monarchs. As you know, we are not in first place right now. Orange County is ahead of us, and Real is behind us. Tonight's game could change everything. Everything could flip-flop. As Phoenix Rising fans, we're rooting pretty much for either a tie or for Real to win, because that only puts them a point ahead of us. If Orange County were to win, they'd be 6 points ahead of us, even though I think we'd have two games in hand. That being said, it's a great matchup. Why don't we start off with you, Devon? What do you think is going to happen tonight?
It's interesting with the Real Monarchs. Tyler and I have had quite a few conversations about them. And with all due respect to the boys in red, when Real Monarchs are at their best, they might be the best in the league. Now, that's a very kind of broad statement, because when are they at their best? When they're full strength. When have they been full strength? Not recently. And it's been up and down over the course of the season. You saw it last year. You saw it this year, where they have this dominating presence, but at the same point in time can fluctuate in and out of games, and we've seen that all too recently. And their ability to kind of get back on track. They really thought they had a good chance last week. They were on the game of the week, had to host St. Louis at Zion's Bank. Their head coach, Jameson Olave, said that it is so important that we're home and that we get the number one seed, and yet they go out, they don't get a victory. It's definitely a moral defeat. I don't see them traveling to California and getting a win. I just don't see it. I'm not going to say that they're going to lose. I think that it's all going to depend on the personnel, who comes into that starting 11. We know what Justin Portillo can do, one of the better holding midfielders in the league, but who's his running mate in the middle going to be? Charlie Adams doesn't really seem to be able to get it done quite regularly. If Velasquez isn't there, it's kind of quiet. And Chandler Hoffman up top is not old. He's aging. He lacks that spark that he had over the past couple of years. He's leaving after this offseason. I think that overall, if I had to put money down, and Tyler would tell you I'm not a betting man, but overall, into the playoffs and everything, I would pick Orange County over Real Monarchs. And that's a very bold statement, but I just think structurally, on a regular basis, they've been better. And it's kind of the what have you done for me lately type deal. Aiden Quinn is a boss in the middle of the field. And then just going forward, Eni Bolton, Seton, all those guys, they just counteract with each other so well. It's a scary force. So if Real Monarchs could be full strength, they're dangerous. I don't see it for the rest of the season. I don't see it into the playoffs. I see Orange County going pro.
It's an interesting take. Everybody talks about how strong San Antonio is at home. I think you could say the same for Orange County. I also think that just based on some of the talk we've had in the Phoenix Rising fan base, that Real Monarchs seem to be really good when they don't have a lot of pressure on them, but when the pressure starts to be applied, like the 3 losses that they've had, they start to choke a little bit. They're more comfortable when they're in charge, and when they're not in charge, maybe they start to falter. Do you think there's any validity to that, Tyler?
I think that there is. I agreed with a lot of what Devon said, and I'm just sort of thinking to myself as I'm doing prep work and I'll be on the call for the game, Orange County has had some really gritty results over the past couple of games. I mean, a 1-0 win at Fresno, playing on a baseball field, is always tough to do. Noah Powder late in the 84th. A 3-2 win against OKC where they had to come back twice, and now you're turning around and you're playing on a Wednesday, and their game was on Sunday. So it's an even quicker turnaround than it was on Saturday. So I was in the same boat as Devon, but now that I'm sort of running back through the situation, and to answer your question a little bit more fully, yes, they do like to be in control, and when things aren't going their way, it becomes even more frustrating because they're a team that always has the ball, and it's very obvious what they go out and try to do, and teams, are keening in on it, and they can find themselves countering a lot. So, I mean, I would probably say that Orange County is going to come away with a win if it wasn't such a bizarre situation in terms of their schedule and what games they have played recently. I think that Phoenix fans might get exactly what they want in a draw. I could easily see a 0-0 draw. Monarchs probably aren't going to have Velasquez in the starting 11. He'll be available for selection. Orange County off a quick turnaround. Monarchs did not play over the weekend, so they're on a weird schedule themselves, having gone Wednesday. Going to a tough place to play like champions. So I think it could very well be a point apiece, and the standings are going to stay the same for the most part, and Phoenix will have a chance on Saturday to just go ahead and snap up first place.
It's interesting because a couple people were like, hey, why don't we put some wagers on this game? And I was not willing to do it. I was like, you know what? Normally I'll ante up some money, but on this game, I just think it's going to be a great game to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we'll see what happens there. On a side note, I think one of the advantages that Phoenix Rising has is that our schedule is not that difficult for the rest of the season. We have 5 more games. I think our toughest opponent is Reno, and Reno can be tough, but relatively speaking, not as tough as it could be like with the San Antonio at home or something like that. So we're sitting fairly pretty, I think. I hate to use an easier schedule as a reason for that, but at the same time, what I think it does is maybe it takes a little pressure off and helps us increase in our performance. The game that we had last weekend against Seattle was an okay game, but I think we need to start generating some more offense. Did you guys see the game? Devon, did you see that game? What do you think about Phoenix Rising's offense?
Yeah, so this is something that Tyler and I, and Tyler, feel free to jump in, we actually kind of want to make people aware of it. So the way broadcasting works in the league is you'll have your main feed. And so in a situation like that, what most people are going to be privy to is the game in Seattle, and it's going to be their announcers. Phoenix actually offers, through your view, they offer the feed. So we are available on pretty much every single game. So when they go away and they go to Sounders too, Tyler and I were actually on the call. Now, we were only broadcast through your view, but if local fans wanted to tune into a home broadcast instead of seeing the road broadcast, they could do that. Looking at the game itself, kind of like want to agree with what Tyler talked about. He said, that Orange County has had some more gritty results, and I think that's something that has actually shown well for Phoenix recently is that they've matured. They've matured on the road, and they've matured from a performance standpoint, where last year everybody was so accustomed to them going out 2, 3, 4-0 victories, and then maybe they get blasted off here and there, a bad game here and there, but anytime they came home, they were fine. On the road, they really struggled. That's not the case this year. They have an identically similar record, both at home and on the road, so obviously Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, still a great mainstay for them, but when they go on the road, they don't lack that character and they don't lack that confidence. If you track back to the Orange County game, Rich Shantz when we were chatting with him, he pulled everybody aside and said, you're on the chopping block. If you're not going to come out and show me something and show me what you're made of, everybody's position is up for grabs. And that kind of lit a fire underneath everybody's backside, so to speak, and got them in gear. And since then, you've seen some gritty results. The Seattle Sounders 2 game was an example of that, where maybe the magic just isn't there. That's okay. The magic's not there, and they still find a way to win. You don't want to throw them under the bus and beat them down. You want to commend them and say, wow, good job, good effort. They'll get out the kinks during the training sessions during the week, get some regen going on for their bodies, and get back to the task at hand. San Antonio, people I saw online were making a lot of analogies to the Orange County game. Don't really think that was fair to the boys, because in Orange County, Phoenix was non-existent for about 75 minutes. And thanks to Solomon Asante, he made him relevant in that game again. That wasn't the case in the San Antonio game. They actually came out on the front foot, got the early goal, and then, kind of had lackluster performances for the next 65th, 70th minute until they started to track back in. So it was very up and down. But RGV comes to Phoenix Rising, they get a result. They go to Las Vegas. Rick Jones told us going to Las Vegas, he was happy to just get in, get out, no cards, no injuries. He was happy with a 0-0 draw. And they were able to get 2 goals and really give credit to Las Vegas. They played quite well. So though offensively, maybe it hasn't been what everybody has been accustomed to, they're still showing you they're capable of winning in other ways. That's the biggest thing here. We referenced the Real Monarchs and Orange County game earlier. When the Monarchs aren't in their special zone and their happy place, they aren't getting results. Orange County as well as Phoenix Rising are finding ways to get it done when they're not getting their bread and butter.
Yeah, that's great insight, actually. There is no team in our conference that you're just going to go roll over. I mean, if you look at the Colorado Switchbacks game we had a couple of weeks ago, they played really well. Their defense was spectacular, and we had a hard time finding what to do. Now we got the job done, but to your point, Devon, there is no team that is just going to get rolled over. That's half the fun of this, right? It's going to make the end of this season spectacular, I think, even better than last year in a lot of ways. Let's switch gears real quick. And Tyler, I'm going to direct this at you just so that you're ready. We've talked about this before. Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and the USL right now, there's a lot of disconnect because there is really no crossover between the conferences. We're watching Cincinnati. We're tracking them because we feel like if we win the Western Conference, they are going to be the team to beat for the USL Cup. Now, they have 5 wins in a row, and they're 16 points ahead of any other team in the Eastern Conference. The question is then, are they really that good, or are just the other teams in the Eastern Conference not stepping up?
So I'm going to start off by saying to Phoenix fans, make no mistake about it, they are a very, very, very good side. I mean, Manu Ledesma is the real deal, second player ever in the modern USL to get double-digit goals and assists, and Devon and I have talked about on a number of broadcasts. The other one was Urban Para, who was actually with S2 last year and then went over to Orange County. But they're a very, very solid group. And I think that the last part of your question with the other Eastern Conference teams not stepping up as much, I mean, you look at Louisville, they haven't won a game in their last 4. Charleston has had an up-and-down season. Indy 11's been up and down. Nobody in the Eastern Conference, with the exception of FC Cincinnati, has really deemed themselves to be the giant of, on that side of the Mississippi. But then you go over to the Western Conference, and it's kind of the opposite. Phoenix, Orange County, Monarchs, nobody is taking it for their own. It's still very much up for grabs, and any one of those 3 teams could end up in first place. Now, when I look at them tactically and I look at the personnel, I have a really tough time putting in my mind watching Solomon Asante go up against Forrest Lasso or Patty Barrett and seeing either one of them staying in front of Solomon Asante or trying to stay in front of, somebody like a Jason Johnson when he gets healthy again. It's a very different style of play, as we've talked about. It's much more defensive-minded. I think there's more tactically involved defensively, and I don't think there's as much pace and as much firepower out in the Eastern Conference as there is in the West. But with that said, they're more organized, especially when they're not in possession of the ball. You could very well see a Pittsburgh Riverhounds blow through the Eastern Conference and just shut everybody out and end up getting to the final just because of how organized they are defensively. I think that FC Cincinnati, if they were in the Western Conference, would probably be vying for the top spot, but it would be by no means the margin of separation that they have right now in the West. Just because there's so many teams that can keep up with them scoring. When you look at Al-Badawi, Manu Ledesma, Koenig, when you look at those guys as well as Welshman and obviously the addition of Fernando Adi, I mean, they are a very, very, very good side. I don't think they're as good as their margin is right now of separation. And it would be, Devon and I have been saying to each other, basically since week 10, the best final from like a rating standpoint, atmosphere standpoint, and what it's looking like in terms of who's going to host would be Phoenix at FC Cincinnati. I think from a tactical standpoint, that would be the best matchup, and it would make for the most entertaining, best brand of football, as well as 40,000 fans at Nipper, 10,000 of them being the traveling Phoenix Rising supporters. It would be an unbelievable game.
Yeah, I can't argue with you there, man. I know the second we know where that game's going to be and who's playing in it, I'm buying plane tickets. That is happening. So, Devon, do you have anything to add to what Tyler's saying?
Yeah, I would say that I for the most part, agree with everything he said. Structurally, the teams in the Eastern Conference, they're just built different. Defensively, they are traditionally more sound. At least when you take a look at the top four, Cincinnati is night and day compared to last year. Everybody remembers, or should remember at least, the USL Cup run of 2017. And they were fantastic, and they scored a boatload of goals, but they gave up a lot defensively as well. The season ends, boom, Allen goes to work right away, gets Forrest Lasso, probably the best center back in the league. Guy is beyond talented, and he's carried that defense, and rightfully so. Then you go to Bob Lilly. They're good. I mean, anywhere he goes, they're obviously going to be a defensive squad that gets it done. Louisville, Battery, Mike Anhauser, over and over again has those guys organized. But then as you drift down and you take a look further, I'm looking at the standings right now. And I'm being very respectful because I have relationships with these coaches, but Martin Rennie, Indy 11, up and down. Brendan Burke, Bethlehem Steel, up and down. I mean, those are two squads right there that I've seen go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league. And then they go out and they struggle versus Toronto too. And yeah, maybe you have an off game. You know, Phoenix had an off game versus S2, but they don't traditionally go out and do that on a regular basis. They're not an up and down squad like that. But the teams that are around the playoff line, John Wolyniak and New York Red Bull, I mean, they are one of the most interesting teams in the USL to me because they can go out and put up 5, 6, 7 goals, but then Toronto can beat them 3-0. So, I mean, that gives you an idea of the East. And if you look at the structure of the West, that's just not the case. To me, they're built for the long haul, both sides of the ball, very dangerous teams. And it's everywhere from Orange County is number 1, all the way down to looking at 9 or 10. And with all due respect to Steve Tritchu and Colorado Springs, they're just not consistent enough to be involved in the playoff race. They're out, even though mathematically they're not. OKC, I doubt they're going to get in. They started too flat, and Steve Cook and the guys had to figure it out in the long haul, but they found a way to get back in. But Anthony Pulis, Reno, Squirrel Park Rangers, all these guys, they can come out and they can give you a scare on a regular basis. Eastern Conference can't really make that argument when you look at them top to bottom.
You know, this is great perspective because the amount that the average Phoenix Rising fan knows about the Eastern Conference is almost nil. So I appreciate you both kind of giving your perspective because you do see both sides of the river, for lack of a better term. And it's going to help us, not set expectations, but at least understand what we might be in for. All I know is that, if we get to that point, we got to still take this one game at a time, so we don't want to look ahead too far. If we do get to that point, it's going to be fireworks. I can't see it not being any other way. A great playoff opportunity, some strong players on both sides, some great matchups from the little bit of study that I've done between Cincy and Phoenix Rising. It should be very interesting. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Any last thoughts? I probably should wrap this up because I can guarantee you I'm getting this out in the next hour.
No, you can go.
Great. Well, listen, thank you both.
No, I was saying, Tyler, I could say, Tyler, if you wanted to add something.
Tune in, watch the game tonight. Orange County Monarchs going to be a great one. And I just want to echo what Devon said again. Not everybody has Cox, but Devon and I are always on every single game. Despite of whether it's home or away, we're on the call, or if you want to go old school again, Transistor Radio, Fox Sports 9, 10 a.m. We are going to be calling the game in some capacity. I know not everybody has it. Also, the watch parties are a great way to do that too, because I believe the bars that they have them at they're also going to have them on. They're going to try to get Cox, and if they can't, then obviously they'll do ESPN Plus. But those are always great ways to watch the games, and Devon and I are doing it sort of ish from, sort of left of center in favor of Phoenix because we know that our broadcast is only going out to Phoenix. It'll be very Phoenix focused. We always talk to Rick before every single game. So that's a great way to watch, get your brand of Phoenix Rising football on the television. That's the last thing I'll say about it. Hopefully everybody's got the message by now.
We are definitely pushing that message, and the Phoenix Rising fans are very aware. I got to admit that I am guilty of streaming ESPN Plus in my car while I'm driving. Thankfully, nothing huge happened while I was driving. I probably would have wrecked and killed myself. But it is nice to know. I've listened to you on 910 just for the heck of it, just to see what it was like. And, of course, we've got Cox in a lot of these venues and at home if we need it. And it's a great way to record a game, too. And although you can see the replays on ESPN Plus, too. We appreciate you guys. Do a phenomenal job. I mean, come on, we can't ask for anything better. And I said this before, Devon, and Tyler had to calm me down as he sometimes has to do. But when I look at some of the other announcers that are on games, it just makes us appreciate what we have that much more. It's just great. We're spoiled. That's all there is to it.
I saw your comment too, and that was really, really cool. And trust me, we take great pride and integrity in what we do, and to receive feedback like that is awesome. And I was actually going to say on my closing side of things, and the fans can take this however they want. This has nothing to do with building a brand or anything like that. We are, Tyler and myself, we're always so interested into what people are thinking. If they have comments, anything like that, feel free to reach out to us on social media. We interact with a lot of Phoenix Rising fans already. We give them our insight into the games. I have a couple relationships out there, and I was chatting the other day about something, and just a random question popped across. And, what do you think about this? And I'm not going to say who it was or what I said, but we'll go behind the scenes, and we have no problem lending our time. It's super fun for us, and it's enjoyable. That's the biggest thing. He and I look at each other on a regular basis. We sit down before we go on air, and we look at each other, and it's kind of like, man, we get to do this for a living, and it's awesome. I personally never thought I would be involved in it. And I know Tyler's been trying to blend his craft since he was 1 year old, so he's frustrated because I'm a little bit better than him now. But things happen, and but we are a team, and we understand that things people may not always agree with us, or maybe they do. Even Shantz and Jose Bosch, when Zach Lubin got cracked in the face, I didn't think it was a penalty. Even now, I don't necessarily 100% think it was a penalty, but able to converse with Rick Shantz and some of the fans and Jose Bosch, PR guy, and chat it out. And it's cool to hear other people's perspective. And the art of communication is lost in this day and age. So if people want to talk to us, reach out, pick our brains, and just chat about the match, we're more than happy to do so.
You know what I'll do? Because I think this would be a great idea. I'll try to facilitate kind of a supporter question forum somehow where we can get some questions lined up to throw out to you guys. How does that sound?
Absolutely. Happy to take part in that.
Liverpool fans only. Only accepting Liverpool fans.
Oh boy, that's just, what? We have so many Man United fans and Phoenix Rising. It's ridiculous. So that's dangerous territory.
Not everybody's perfect.
You support every team. You do a good job in supporting Phoenix. Something's got to give on the other end. You support a crap club like that. But you know what? We're givers, Devon and I, okay?
Understood. The way I see it is at some point in time, you guys are going to realize that if you want real soccer, you got to go to the Bundesliga. But, that's just me. It's just. All right, guys.
Urban Pro.
Yeah.
I was there. I can tell you, they beat you up. It's serious over there.
Just look at that with me.
Oh.
I've been there a couple times, and yeah, you do not talk smack while you're there. That's just no. Especially if you're American. That's just
no. If I tried, they wouldn't understand me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time, your insight. Looking forward to the calls on the games. I actually have a big watch party I put together for this Saturday. It's my birthday, and instead of having a birthday party like a normal person, I'm having a watch party.
So you're having a normal party. That's what you should be doing. Forget the standard stuff. Happy birthday early on.
Thanks. I just figure, in tequila infused, watching a soccer game is always good. So we'll see how.
Where is the watch party? At your house? We'll make sure to get a message in there.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be at my place. Yeah. Right. So that would be fantastic.
What's your address? It's going to turn into a Phoenix version of Project X. We're going to make sure everybody's showing up.
That is not happening. Besides, I'd get depressed because nobody'd show up either way. So.
That's not true. If they'd let me, we'd be on a heartbeat, but unfortunately that's not in the books yet. We're working on it.
We do have Scottsdale set up. Tyler said when you guys do get out here, I've already got it planned out. I know what we can do. Can have a good time.
Good stuff. Sounds good to me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much again. Have a fun time tonight, Tyler. Then Saturday night for both of you, and we will talk again soon.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.